We're back with a bonus conversation you'll only see here on CBS News New York. So, guys, I have a question for you. A survey by the Public Religion Research Institute found that Americans are more and more saying to themselves they're religiously unaffiliated. Unaffiliated. Why is that happening? You're a man of faith. You are a man of faith.
We call that the nones, N-O-N-E-S, for people for whom religion is not relevant. And I hate to use that word because it means so many different things to people.
But is that, whose fault is that, the religion?
I think we're all culpable. I think sometimes we on the pulpit, we're very critical of people. People don't need to come to services week after week and hear criticism. I think also we got to get off the pulpit because we have to show people through example. You know, the best way to teach love is to be loving. The best way to teach morality is to be moral. And I think they've been disillusioned by some of the things they've seen over the years.
Yeah, Rabbi, I think whether it's the rabbinate or the church or mosques, I think there are a lot of loving people who do great things. I think part of the problem, Marcia, Rabbi, I think part of the problem is our God. I mean, somebody once said to me, we all have a God as a general ordering direction, whatever that God is, whether we pick up and pray in the morning but our God is candidly money. I mean, what do Americans worship? And so I think that is an instrumentality. It's not a value system.
So basically what you're saying is prosperity has bred this religious unaffiliation.
I think it's contributed to it significantly. I don't think it's sum total, but I think it's a substantial aspect.
But I see one thing: there are people who have become successful, but also have said, "Is this it?" There is a void in their lives, and with some of the young people today, we're also seeing a return, a response to religion. Say, you know what? I need more in my life. This gives me a sense of meaning. So while we're losing, we're also attracting some. Not enough, but
people looking for meaning, people looking for purpose.
To be successful isn't enough.
So as men of faith, can we fix this? Go ahead.
To be a Jew, and I think to be a religious person, although I consider Jim McGreevey not a Jew yet, you know, we have hope. Yeah, but we are prisoners of hope. That's what we're all about. You look at what the national anthem of Israel is, Hatikva, meaning hope. We never give up, and I think we're here because we're determined to live and to love and to have a meaningful life. So yeah, there's always hope.
What about you? You've worked really hard in prisoner recovery actions and programs.
Yeah.
Is there a way to fix this?
We had just the other day, we had a Thanksgiving Day service. We had an interfaith Thanksgiving Day service with a rabbi, an imam, and a Catholic bishop. And I will tell you, there were people of every faith there, and it was so powerful. And there was respect, and there was deference, and there was perhaps even love. And so this was in a prison.
And respect.
And respect. And this was in a prison because the folks there had so little. And they were so grateful for someone, a person of faith, coming and sharing part of the Thanksgiving. And I think, you know, I don't know if the rabbi agrees with you, I think our lives are so cluttered. And so, you know, there's a whole movement to simplify, you know, whether it's your furniture, whether it's your, you know, what you read, you pursue. And so I think that ultimately is for me, is that higher power. And unfortunately, Americans live very cluttered lives.
So what advice would either of you or both of you give to people who may be not religiously inclined about navigating this very confused world that we now live in?
You know, I have found a number of young people who don't join gyms, but they hire trainers, right? They want something of value. And I think you don't have to begin on a large scale. Connect with someone who you can relate, someone who you can look up to, someone who has values. Say, you know, I would like to be like that person. Have a personal mentor. And I think that's a good beginning.
A religious mentor?
I would recommend that, you know.
I think there's a great book called The Spirituality of Imperfection, that we're all imperfect. We're all on this journey. And so it talks about the ancient rabbinate, it talks about the desert fathers, it talks about the ancient writers of many different faiths. And so the point is, we're all on this journey, moving from imperfection, trying to be better. And to go to the rabbi's point is, having someone you can share and have those conversations is valuable.
So are you optimistic about the future?
What's the alternative? Why get out of bed if you're not optimistic about the future? But you know, I look at Jim's work in reentry, and it's interesting. If you look at the Talmud, which is the explanation of the Torah, it begins on page 2. There's no page 1.
How come?
Because maybe the message is that sometimes page 1 is taken away from you, and you have to learn how to begin on page 2. And I think it's also that you don't give up. You know, if I lose something, Jewish law says the following, and someone else finds it, who does it belong to? You say finders, keepers. We say no. As long as I don't lose hope in finding it, it doesn't belong to you. The minute I lose hope, it belongs to the next person. So we don't believe in giving up.
And there's a great adage, you know, the cracks in the vase are where God's grace comes through. And there's a Japanese tradition. When a vase is broken, they cement it together with this gold glue or adhesive, and it becomes more beautiful. So I believe, as the old spiritual says, we all fall down, but we get up. And it's candidly, Marcia, when we're in a hard time, that's when we realize the strength of faith, family, and for Thanksgiving Day, I mean, being thankful for those fundamentals in our life.
So last question to both of you. What gives you hope?
You know, I have a son whom I love dearly, and obviously I've watched him grow up, and I see that he's involved in a host of causes. He gives back. And, you know, the founder of the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, Frank Siller, he says at his communion, he came in a poor family, and he said we had to give half of what we got to a family who was poor. He said we got $28, so 14 I had to give to a poor family. He said after all these years, I remember what I did with what I gave. I don't remember what I did with what I kept. So when I see people who give, who on Thanksgiving Day volunteer, who are there helping others re-enter, I say we haven't lost this battle yet.
Jim, what gives you hope?
You know, as Rabbi said, my daughters, but, you know, working with people in reentry, their persistence, their strength, and candidly, you know, there's that great adage from St. Francis that it's better to give than to receive. In giving, you find a sense of purpose. And I think this conversation here today, I don't know whether there are many countries in the world where people are having a conversation about civility and decency. And so what we do in our own individual ways is important to just foster that. Somebody will think and say, maybe I can be more civil driving on Route 3, God forbid, in New Jersey.
So what we're really saying here is that to be able to talk about our differences and respect each other will give all of us hope for a better future.
And I think teaching our children very early on that they have so much more in common than their differences.
You know, the governor has Christmas and I have Hanukkah, and he's got Easter and I got Passover, but we both have Thanksgiving.
Amen.
So I think both of us have what to be thankful for and still
Rabbi,
not give up.
That's why you're the rabbi. What a wrap-up.
And that was a wrap-up, and I want to thank you for joining me, both of you, and thank you at home for joining me as well. Thanks a lot.